Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Today is going to be part 2 in our series about creating a YouTube channel for a reptile breeder or an aspiring reptile breeder. Last video we talked about the why, which is why you should start a YouTube channel if you're a reptile breeder. We went over some of the pros, some of the cons, and then my ultimate opinion, which was that you should start a channel if you plan to breed reptiles. And as promised, today is going to be the how. So some of the steps I would take to actually get started, and then just some of the tips and tricks I have learned over the past 8 years of actually doing this. And so without further ado, let's jump right in. So step 1 is that you obviously have to make a channel. The only tip I have about this is try to keep it uniform with your business name if you already have one picked out. If you don't, try and find a name that's going to be able to be used on your YouTube channel along with your other social medias and website. So for example, I am So Sick Reptiles here on YouTube, but my website is also that, so is Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, MorphMarket. And so if people see me on this platform or a different platform, it is uniform all the way across so people can easily find me and know if they see my content. And if you haven't picked out a name already, try and pick out something unique so that you're going to stand out on those other platforms and on YouTube as well. Now, after you have your channel finally made, you're going to need to pick out some equipment to actually make videos. And my opinion on this is that you should try and start out as cheaply as you can. The only reason is that if you end up not liking making videos or it just doesn't work out for some reason, you don't have a lot invested and it's not a big loss. And so you're really going to need 4 different categories of equipment to make YouTube videos. You're going to need a camera or some way to capture footage. You're going to need audio equipment, so you're going to either need a microphone or use a camera that has a built-in microphone. You're also going to need editing software to actually edit your videos, and then you're going to need some type of graphics software to make photos and things and thumbnails. And so with all of these things, I've always done it fairly cheaply. So for example, for my camera, I've always used my phone, which is relatively free. It's just something that most people have, is a cell phone that has pretty much excellent camera quality for most modern phones. For audio, you could probably use your phone's microphone if you really wanted to. However, you can pick up some pretty decent cheap microphones. The microphone I'm using to record this video is $16 on Amazon. It's just a little clip-on. For most of my prior videos though, I did have a more expensive Blue Yeti microphone, which last time I looked was about 150 bucks. For editing software, I've always used free things. So CapCut is a great example of some free software you can use, and I'm sure there's other equivalents that are just as good. And then for photo editing software, for thumbnails and just for some of the overlays that I put, I've always used paint.net, which is another free software. I've used that for many, many years, and I think it's equivalent to a lesser version of Photoshop if you get some of the plugins. And so with that, you can pretty much start a channel for basically nothing. If you have a phone that has good camera quality and good audio quality, you can pretty much get started making your YouTube videos today. Of course, you can spend some money on a better camera, better audio equipment, professional editing software and photo editing software, and that may help you, but I think that if you just get started, you're going to find that you're able to go pretty far just on some basic equipment. Alright, now that you've got your YouTube channel, you've got your equipment, we're on to step 3, which is probably the step you want to spend the most time on, which is thinking about your niche within the reptile world. And what I mean by this is obviously reptiles themselves, there's a category. Crested geckos would be another category under that. And then even within the crested gecko world, there's a couple different paths you could take to make videos. And so something that I've talked about previously is documentation, education, and entertainment. These are basically the 3 main categories of videos that you could make. And unfortunately, one is not as easy as the other. So in my opinion, documentation is the easiest, and then there's a sliding scale that goes all the way over to entertainment with education in the middle. So documentation, education, entertainment, it's easiest to document and hardest to entertain, but on the same way, if you make entertainment videos, you're going to get more views and more subscribers on average, rather than if you make documentational videos where you're going to get less views and less subscribers. Let's talk a little bit about this, because I think that this is probably one of the most important things about picking out your YouTube channel. Let's say you decide to document, which is probably the easiest thing, but also the thing that you're going to get the least amount of views on. This is, I think, where a lot of people should start because it is the easiest And you don't really need any skills necessarily to do this. This is kind of how I started this channel. And what I did is I would just do updates on my geckos. So I would say, here's these geckos, here's how they've grown in the past year, and I would kind of show them off. Or here's my, top 8 favorite geckos of 2022, or here's my reptile setup, or here's how I make cages, right? You're gonna have an element of each of the 3 likely, because even in a documentational video, you can still help people by showing your journey, and you might entertain them because there might be funny little things in there, right? But the main purpose is more to document rather than to entertain, right? And so even though you may have a main focus of the video, it'll likely incorporate the other 2 into it. But documentation is pretty much the easiest, because all that you need to do is pick up your camera and say, here's what I am doing. I'm showing you my journey. Here's what I've done. If you want to follow me and do some of the things I've done, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And so for this, you don't really need to know a whole lot about geckos. You don't really need to be funny. You just need to have a camera, pick it up, and start shooting, right? And so I think this is by far the easiest way to get in. And this is where I'd recommend a lot of people to get in, because you don't really need to do a whole lot or know a whole lot. And I think one of the biggest mistakes, which we can jump into education, is trying to start teaching other people about geckos before you know about them yourselves. And of course, people are always learning. I learn more things about geckos every day, but I think one of the biggest mistakes for me was trying to make educational videos before I knew a whole lot about crested geckos, because then you just end up looking kind of silly, and it can tarnish your reputation a little bit early on, and you don't want to do that, obviously. But there is a point where you'll start to learn more about crested geckos, and I think it's okay to start putting that out there. And you can always just make a disclaimer saying, this is just the way I've done it, this is what I believe. If you want to believe it too, then that's fine. If not, that's great. Kind of going back to that documentational type aspect of it, you can just say, here's what I'm doing, here's what I believe, and that's what it is. Entertainment is something that I haven't really ventured into that much with crested geckos. A channel that I can think of that does this really well, not just with crested geckos, but just animals in general, is Leafy Street. This is by far where you gain the most amount of views and the most amount of subscribers, because it isn't necessarily to have a super deep interest in the animals themselves. And that might sound bad, but how could I frame it in a way that would make sense? Basically, you could watch those videos and enjoy them whether you know about animals or not. And the purpose of the video is to be more funny and entertaining rather than documentational or educational. Even though those videos have aspects of both in there, the main purpose is entertainment. And you'll notice, if you think about these 3 categories, that channels that are more entertainment centered around reptiles are also the channels that are the biggest and have the most subscribers and the most views, right? Think about that. A lot of the biggest reptile channels are mostly centered around entertainment. There is educational and documentational aspects of them, but they are entertaining to watch. People really enjoy watching them, right? And that's kind of like the sliding scale I was talking about. The more you can go towards entertainment and maybe still throwing those educational and documentational aspects in, the more subscribers and the more views you'll get. And so just to also put this into perspective, if you think about this channel that you're watching, how many people do you think really want to learn and see me document my crested gecko journey, right? I'm not saying that in a negative way, but just think about it. I think there's something like 13,500 subscribers on this channel, give or take, right? I'm really surprised by that, because if you're subscribed to this channel, that means you want to see and learn about crested geckos specifically, because that's all I post about. And we're going to talk about sticking to your niche a little bit later in the tips and tricks. But realistically, you have to consider the audience size that is interested in the type of content that you're going to make. And so again, going back to why your channel will get bigger, if you make entertainment videos, not everybody has to be super deep into crested geckos to care and watch your videos. They can just watch them because they're entertaining, right? And so my channel will never be as big as some of the biggest YouTube channels, even if I did it for 20 years, just because of the type of content I make, which is mostly educational or documentational about crested geckos, simply because there's not enough people in the world that care about crested geckos in that way, right? And so this is something to consider when you're making your videos. Just realize, depending on what category you're in or you'd like to be in, is going to determine the cap of your growth to some degree. Obviously, there's more and more people who get into it every day. but just consider that when you do pick your niche. So step 4, now that you've made your channel, you have all your equipment, you've picked your niche, is to just start. If I'm being quite honest with you, your first couple videos are probably going to suck. They're going to be crappy, they're not going to be edited that well, they're not going to be that great. Nobody's really going to see them, nobody's really going to watch them, but that's okay. It's okay to suck because you haven't done this before, so it would make sense that you're going to suck. But guess what? You're going to get better. You're going to get better and better and better and better, and over time, your videos will improve. People are going to start to see them. People will start to subscribe and watch them. The key is to just start and not worry so much about your first couple videos, right? It's really important just to get started, start learning about editing, uploading, camera work, audio, right? Just getting all those things out of the way so that you can start to make progress. So that's pretty much going to be all the steps that you need to start making your YouTube channel. Obviously, make the channel, get the equipment, pick your niche, just start, and you're going to be off to the races. Now let's talk a little bit more about some of the tips and tricks of actually making reptile videos and some of the things that I've learned over the past couple of years. So my first tip for you is to be consistent. Consistency is everything on YouTube, and if you can be consistent in your uploading and for how long you do it, it is almost impossible to fail. If you made 110 videos, so roughly one every week over 2 years, and came to me and said that you did not have at least 1,000 subscribers, I would be very, very, very surprised. If you make one crested gecko video a week over a 2-year period, I would guarantee that you would have at least 1,000 subscribers. And for consistency, it's really 2 things. Number 1, the amount of volume that you're doing, and for the length of time. The more volume and the more time you do, the more you're going to be rewarded by YouTube. And so if you make one video every week, which I think is a good number for a growing channel, and I know that seems kind of funny considering that I only make 2 videos a month, 2 videos a month is really a poor amount if you want to start to grow on YouTube. I've just been doing it as kind of a maintenance thing to, have content coming out just because of other things going on. But if you want to take this seriously and you do want to grow your channel, I would recommend making at least 1 video a week, if not like 1 every 5 days or whatever that equals out to in a month, like 6 a month rather. But like every 5 days, once a week, that's a really good, I feel like, kind of consistent pattern for the type of content that we make here with reptiles. And so if you can do that, at least 1 video a week for a couple years, it is almost impossible that you fail and do not get any sort of following. Even if your videos are average, average camera quality, average audio, average editing, they're just average. It doesn't really even have to be amazing. You will succeed. You need to make a schedule, stick to the schedule, consistently do it over a long period of time, and you will succeed, and it's almost impossible that you will fail. I found this to be true for both of my channels that I've had in the past 10 years. I have found that if you consistently upload, eventually something's going to hit and you are going to blow up. It has happened both times to me on both of my main channels, and I guarantee it'll happen to you as well. My next tip is that while quality will help your videos, it isn't everything when it comes to growing on YouTube. Like I just mentioned, a lot of people think that they need to make the highest quality videos, right? Super quick edits, super high quality camera, audio, editing, graphics and stuff. Within the reptile niche, which is honestly not very competitive, there isn't very many channels making crested gecko content in this case, or probably whatever reptile you're looking at, your videos don't need to be super high quality. Of course it's going to help, but if you just are consistent, like I just mentioned, consistency is going to trump quality almost every time. If you are just making consistently good or average videos, you're going to grow a lot faster than someone who's making really high quality ones, but maybe they're doing it once every month, once every couple months. Consistency really, really, really beats just about everything else. My next tip is to be very careful with making YouTube Shorts. I think that YouTube Shorts can be great in some circumstances, and in other circumstances, it could literally kill your channel. And I think it's something that really needs to be talked about, especially with reptiles specifically, and depending on what type of content you're making. So for example, this last year, 2023, I was really into YouTube Shorts. I was testing them out because it's something new I had never experienced with, and I've seen it go both ways for other reptile creators, where they start making YouTube Shorts, it really blows up their channel, and then their long form videos, which I think are the most important, really blow up as well. I think this works really well if you are going to be an entertainment style crested gecko video maker or reptile video maker, right? If you're planning to make entertainment type videos for your reptiles, then I think YouTube Shorts are probably a good idea. Because what you're trying to do is the people who are most likely to watch your long form videos, who are also the most likely to come buy your animals if you're a breeder, and just kind of grow your community, which is where long form videos really shine, not so much the short form. You really want to focus on your long form. And so if you're going to do something that's going to negatively impact them, I'd be very careful doing that. And so what I've seen is that people who make entertainment style reptile videos and blow up on shorts do really well with their long form, because it's basically like a shortened version. People see the shorts that are funny, then they come to their long form videos which are funny and they like them too. But people who are more into the educational and documentational style of making long form reptile videos like I am, if I then start making kind of more entertainment and quick and snappy YouTube shorts, people are going to see those, then come to my long form videos and be like, you know what, I don't really care about learning about red phantom, crested geckos, and they're never going to watch any of my long form videos. And so this is why you see a lot of reptile channels that have a lot of subscribers and their videos don't get very many views, because a lot of the people are from their shorts are not converting over to their long form. And you really want to focus on your long form videos, which is my next tip, which is focus on your long form videos, because these are the people who are going to be the most engaged. They're going to be the people who are most likely to buy your animals. The people who are going to be the biggest part of your community, your reptile community on YouTube, that is. And you really want to focus on that. Be very careful with YouTube Shorts if you are going to be a documentational or educational style reptile YouTuber. If you're going to make entertainment style videos, I think go for it. Be very careful with it. It can blow up your channel, but again, you really want to focus on your long form viewers, your long form subscribers, people who are watching those videos. And it's going to be really unfortunate if one of your shorts blows up and now you have 100,000 YouTube subscribers, but you're only getting a couple hundred long form views. And so that's going to be really unfortunate. Try and focus as much as you can on your long form videos. My next tip is for finding good video topics. Something that's always been very helpful to me is to look at my comments. I typically read 99% of the YouTube comments. And if people have questions, I think that's a good thing to pick from and make videos. One of the things that I've found that people who do make videos already have came to me and said that they struggle with is finding video topics. What do you make videos about on crested geckos for a long period of time? There just isn't that much stuff to talk about, or so it seems like. And so pulling from your YouTube comments and questions you get in your DMs can be a good way to make video topics, because chances are that if someone is curious about it, more than one person is, and you can make a good video on it. Another tip for getting video ideas is going back to our document, educate, entertain. Because if you think about these three categories and you think about topics that you could do under each of them, you'll pretty much have an infinite amount of video ideas. And you can write these down for later, but if you just think about it, you can pretty much always have something to make a video about in the reptile world. Now, my final tip for you today is to be very, very careful when trying to expand your channel's niche. And what I mean by that is, when we were talking about picking your niche earlier, we picked crested geckos, right? Which is all that I talk about on this YouTube channel. If you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, if you come to this YouTube channel, all that you're going to see is videos that are either crested gecko related or are about crested geckos themselves, right? And so when you come to Sostic Reptiles channel, you're going to see something or hear something crested gecko related at least, right? There's nothing else that I talk about. Does some of it apply to general reptiles? Yes. Does some of it apply to New Caledonian geckos? Yes, but the main niche is crested geckos. And so if you're here, that's why you're here. When you need to be careful is, like, let's say I was making crested gecko videos and then I was going to also start making ball python videos, because now what you've done is now you're splitting into two different things, crested geckos, which are very different than ball pythons. And so let's say you're a new channel, you make some crested gecko videos and then you make some ball python videos. Well, probably what's going to happen is some people are going to subscribe for your ball python videos and some people are going to subscribe for your crested gecko videos. And this is especially challenging if you're in the documentational or educational stage, because people who are interested in ball pythons probably don't care about crested geckos, and so they're not going to watch those videos, and vice versa, right? Now, if you just make general entertainment about reptiles, then everyone's going to see them. But again, if you're doing documentational or educational, be very, very careful about splitting up your audience, because what happens over time if you expand into too many things is now you have this little group here who just wants to see crested gecko stuff, this little group here who just wants to see ball pythons, this group who wants to see a bronia, right? I couldn't even think of another reptile. That's sad. But what I'm trying to get at is be very careful when dividing your audience. I would rather have one smaller YouTube channel of very dedicated people who are interested in one specific topic, aka in this case, crested geckos, rather than having a channel that's 10 times bigger but is divided amongst, 5 different groups of people, where the 4 other groups don't watch any given video I put out because they're not interested in it, right? And so this is especially hard, again, if you're making documentational or educational, because like I'm subscribed to some YouTube channels that make reptile videos, right? Who do similar things, but they have their channel divided up into a bunch of different reptiles. And so I don't watch 99% of the videos they put out unless it pertains to crested geckos, or unless it used to pertain to crested geckos. And so, they lose a lot of viewership in that way, versus some of the channels that just make entertainment. It doesn't really matter because it's just entertaining. I know this is a lot to think about, but just consider that, because a lot of people like to expand and try this and try that. And I'm not saying that that's bad in the beginning when you're trying to figure out what's going to work for you. But as you grow, the more you start to divide your channel into other things, the more your viewership is also going to be divided, and the less and less viewership you're going to get on each video, especially depending on what type of content you make. Now, with all that being said, I hope that you have found this video helpful. This is pretty much everything that I could think of to help you along your journey as a reptile breeder or aspiring reptile breeder who wants to make a YouTube channel. If you haven't made a channel, I would really implore you to do so. This has been one of the biggest benefits in my career as a reptile breeder, has been having the YouTube channel to go along with it. The last video, if you haven't seen it, is the why, and you can go look at more in-depth reasons of why to create a channel. This was going to be the how. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.